Happiness through curiosity on the Ranveer Show. While explaining the heart attack situation, you spoke about plaque.
Yeah.
Now, of course, people understand that it's because of long-term smoking, long-term alcohol usage, long-term drug usage, perhaps.
But I don't think that's the fundamental thing. Those accentuate all of that. They're risk factors, independent risk factors, particularly smoking and even some of the other things. I think it's a combination of genetics and lifestyle. And then, when I say lifestyle, I'm talking diet, exercise, all of that stuff. Sleep. I talked in one of my podcasts about the 5 things I think are essential, right? And sleep is way up there. It's your protective cocoon. And I'll tell you, a lot of people take it for granted, but it's somewhere where you rejuvenate and your brain defrags. I mean, I did an excellent series on sleep with a sleep specialist, and he taught me so much about sleep, and I didn't know that much. And I have all these trackers that we use, and what I found is it's clear your memory, your long-term memories are saved when you sleep. And if you don't have sleep, there's numerous studies on sleep deprivation which show you can't form new memories, right? And let alone the fact that your body needs to assimilate all the proteins and the tissues need to kind of repopulate. There's certain tissues that grow fast, like the gut and the buccal mucosa, and the stuff in the inside of your mouth and your intestines and stuff like that. And there's stuff which has a long game to it. And sleep is one of those things that helps it. Water, believe it or not, it's so hot right now. We're in the middle of summer, right? And we talked about this on the channel that yes, there's these ballpark rules, right? 3.7 liters for males, 2.7 liters for females, but it's not that simple. And the bottom line is you got to keep up with your water intake, decrease on your caffeine intake so that you don't diurese yourself, meaning make yourself pee all the time. And if you do that, I assure you, drinking enough water is one solution, which you will find very, 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 very effective.
Related to heart health?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, we got to break this down a lot more. What you said about sleep and erasing memories, erasing the ability to create new memories.
Yeah.
For me, it's basically like your parts of your brain kind of dying, almost.
No, not so simple. What happens is every day you're faced with a lot of information, right? And it's stored kind of in short-term bursts, right? At nighttime, the theory is that all gets organized and permanently stored. So if you think about putting it in technology terms, a hard drive, right? When you defrag a hard drive, it basically takes all the rubbish out and then it organizes blocks. And that's what happens during sleep. And particularly in REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, you are doing that very effectively. And so if you don't have REM sleep, it's also been shown that your memory formation is not that great. And you're basically, in my estimation, I think you're reliving your memories while you're sleeping and they're getting organized. But it's not your brain dying because the neurons are still there. There are other things which will kill your brain, no doubt, right? But that doesn't kill it. There's theories that 90% of your brain is not used. You're only using 10%. I don't think it's that simple. But the idea is the brain is very plastic and you can reorganize where things happen. This was shown in people who have had strokes. And in those patients, very interestingly, they can use other parts of their brain and relearn for 6 weeks to 6 months. And so what you see is not what you get in a stroke, right? The first 3 days, the brain swells. Then after that, for 6 weeks, the scar tissue is healing and your ischemic penumbra, where the poor blood flow was, is improving. And then from 6 weeks to 6 months, it'll remodel. And during that remodeling phase, that's when the plasticity of the brain will allow you to kind of relearn things and you can potentially rehabilitate a patient. Some things can't change. And similarly in the heart, it's the same way that when you've had a heart attack, that tissue that's dying has a window, right? And it will form permanent scar. The key is the heart as a muscle, to be effective, has to have enough muscle in order to pump blood efficiently to your body. Now, the interesting part, and this is where the cardio comes in, back to that, every time you do cardio, you're pushing your heart to work harder, and you're building the intrinsic circulation system. And in places where your flow may not be perfect, or let's say you have a plaque, the heart, so long as you do it in a very definitive manner, will adapt and create new arteries, neovascularization, and sort of bypass those routes. And so what happens is you're quote unquote ischemic conditioning your heart.
Will create new arteries.
Create or make those channels bigger. It's like if you have a road in Andhri, right? And you get a blockage in that road. What do? You go around it, no? That's similar to what happens in a heart, that the harder you push and the more traffic going through in the way of blood cells, it will figure out another way around. Now, that muscle gets stronger, and it in the most amazing athletes, it's quite interesting because their resting heart rates are very, very low. Their muscle is so efficient that it can pump the same amount of blood that you and I do with a higher heart rate. So, pumping is all about heart rate times stroke volume. Stroke volume is the amount of fluid you have in. So if you alter either one of those, the pumping capacity goes out. Now, we were talking about water just now. If you're dehydrated, your stroke volume's down. So your heart has to beat at a higher rate. Similarly, if you get a gunshot wound and your blood is down, your heart rate will go up because you have less volume, right? And so that's how they all kind of play into each other. And it's all physiology, right? It's all biologic processes 101. As a heart surgeon, you had to know all of that stuff. So quite interesting.
Hey, if you enjoyed this clip from the Ranveer Show, we've uploaded a ton of other clips related to a ton of other topics. So explore the channel because there's something for everyone.